So I'm going to start this review by mentioning one little quick thing about the second Leprechaun film. At the beginning of the film, in the opening, when Bridget comes running towards William's body and gives that brilliant scream to the camera, and her face just goes, ah! And she gives that really high-pitched scream. That is one of the best slasher screams I've ever heard in my life. Okay? Just wanted to throw that out there. Yes, I know it has nothing to do with the third film whatsoever, and I know this is the Leprechaun 3 review, but I am sick of forgetting to mention shit in reviews, and that was a really important point, so hopefully I don't forget shit in this review. Now for Leprechaun 3, Vegas baby. This one is definitely popular amongst a lot of people, a lot of fans, a lot of horror fans, a lot of Leprechaun fans, and I rather enjoyed this one. This is probably the best viewing and best experience that I've had with this film since watching it for the first time. I think I've maybe watched it like 3 or 4 times, and I've always liked it, but I definitely got the best appreciation of it this time around, which is great. I can say that I do enjoy and have a better time with Leprechauns 2 and 3 than I did with the first one, and not taking away anything from the first one, it's also a fantastic film. These ones just have a lot more fun with the Leprechaun idea and where they bring him to, especially in this one. I mean, Vegas, Sin City, you got like casinos everywhere, so the whole gold theme kind of fits and intertwines, and you can do a lot of the greed, gambling kind of thing. You can really play with that idea. It's a funny one, it's a funny entry, and this one feels also probably the most structured in my opinion. You kind of have 3 plots going on in this one at once, so it really feels very fleshed out. I don't mean necessarily because there's a lot going on, I just mean that the plots are really intricate, and I guess they're just really given time to breathe in a sense. The film basically opens up with this guy going to a pawn shop in Las Vegas trying to sell this Leprechaun statue, and he goes in there and he just wants to get the hell rid of this thing, and he ends up selling it for like $20. He's just kind of like, take it. And the pawn shop owner starts to study the thing, and it has a medallion around it, and he's told not to touch the medallion, but of course he touches the medallion anyway, and he starts to like look at it. As soon as he takes the medallion off of the Leprechaun statue, the Leprechaun comes alive and turns into the Warwick Davis Leprechaun that we all know and love. And then the Leprechaun goes on attack mode and bites the guy in the ear and basically bites his ear off. And then the pawn store owner is Indian, so the Leprechaun's like, I love Indian food, so spicy. I wonder if that would fly today as a joke. There's so many things you just can't do anymore for whatever reason. And then along with the statue, the Leprechaun obviously has this pot of gold, and he ends up swiping the pot of gold and taking it to like the back room or something. Realizes that a coin is missing, so he's going back after the Indian guy trying to get the coin. There's a good like battle of wits and struggle between those two that end up for some really good comic relief. At one point, the Leprechaun uses this like bow and arrow statue with his little telekinetic powers or whatever to like pull the bow back and then shoot the bow at the pawn owner kind of thing, the pawn store owner. So I really like the battle between those two. And then at one point they're also fighting for the medallion. And then as the film opens up too, you're introduced to this one character named Scott, and this girl named Tammy has her car break down in the middle of the road in I don't know if it's the Las Vegas Strip, but it's somewhere in Las Vegas. And then Scotty comes around and he sees her, and she's hitching for a ride basically, and then he comes out and he just starts simping hard, like right off the get-go. His facial expression is just like he's never seen a woman in his life. She's just basically asking for a ride, and then he starts to give her car advice, and at one point he's like, have you ever blown a rod before? She's like, excuse me? He's like, in your car, I mean, have you like, you know, there's pistons and rods and everything. And she basically asks for a ride, and then he asks her, where are you going? And she's like, Chicago, as a joke. And he's like, haha, yeah, that's funny. I would have driven you there too, because I think at one point she offers him money, and then he's like, no way. I would have done it for free. Are you kidding me? All of a sudden, love at first sight with this guy on Tammy's character. She works at a casino. She's a magician's assistant, and then basically that's the third story going on, is her being a magician's assistant at this casino, and she works under the wing, I guess, from this magician named Fazio. Fazio is his name, and this guy is a kind of misogynist, kind of egotistical, and when I say kind of, I mean like extreme versions of these things, and he's just extremely full of himself to the limit, and the way he talks to people and speaks to people. You have the woman who I'm blanking on her name for whatever reason, it's Catherine something, from Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2, Stretch. She's in this film, and then this Fazio character is just chirping her out for being old and apparently fat. I don't understand who can look at that woman and see her as fat, but it is what it is. And he's always like drooling over Tammy. Pretty much everybody, including the casino owner as well as Scott, everybody's drooling over Tammy. Tammy is like the eye candy of this film. So Scott wants to go into the casino. Tammy turns to him at one point and says, "Oh, you got to be 21 to get in here." Guy looks about 25, 26. I don't see him. I didn't look up the actor, but he certainly doesn't look under 21. Regardless, apparently in the movie he is. So she basically tells him that if he's going to go into the casino, just don't gamble. If you want to go take a peek inside or whatever to float your boat or whatever, go for it, but don't gamble. He goes inside, and of course he gambles. And the thing is, he walks in there and he starts to see all the tables and everybody gambling. And he whips out a $23,000 check from his coat. And then it's inside a letter, and the letter has a note on it, the envelope, saying, "From your dad, this will cover your tuition and rent for a year or something. Love, Dad." It's $23,000 American dollars in 1994 or 95. I think this film was 95. It's a lot of fucking money. And then he goes to cash the check in chips and just starts gambling it away. What? Like, I don't get it. I don't know why that would be his first choice. I was like, did I miss something? Why is this guy blowing $23,000 at a casino? Like, what's gonna happen to his rent now? Like, where's he gonna live? I guess he thought he was gonna have a horseshoe up his ass. But he starts gambling and he starts losing everything. And by the way, I don't want to forget one thing. I don't know why I don't hear this mentioned very often, but Warwick Davis makes a cameo without the Leprechaun makeup. He just makes a cameo as himself in the casino, and you can see it. Like, I paused it and took a picture. But every time I look it up on like YouTube and stuff like this, nobody talks about this. So do people realize that he's there? Because it's definitely him. I think that's pretty cool. I haven't seen him make a cameo in any other film. Watch him make a cameo in every other film, and I just didn't notice. But I don't think so. But that's cool to see. So Buddy basically loses everything, and he's basically down to his grandfather's watch on his wrist. And the casino woman, Loretta, played by Stretch from Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2, tells him to basically, go trade him in and trade the watch in at the pawn shop and make his grandfather proud by making a comeback. So, of course, he walks his ass to the pawn shop to trade in this beautiful looking watch for more money to get more coins and probably lose more. And then he sees the pawn shop owner dead there, and he runs into the Leprechaun, and he finds the coin that the pawn shop owner had, that the Leprechaun had lost or misplaced or whatever. And there's a computer that the pawn shop owner was like researching stuff on Leprechaun. So it says on the computer that this coin can grant wishes. So he kind of grants a wish as a joke, and he's like, "I wish I was back at the casino on a win streak," and then he just poof disappears, and he's back at the casino in front of the same crap table that he was playing at, except this time the coin is able to guide to the right numbers on the crap table, so he knows where to put them, where to put the coin and where to put the chips and everything. So he just starts creaming the entire place. I mean, he just like wins back his 23,000 tenfold. And Loretta at the table is basically like, what the fuck is going on? But she starts to kind of clue in with the coin. And eventually you're kind of just... everybody's kind of chasing the coin around the casino at one point. So the casino owner is wondering what the hell's going on with his kid, so he wants to kind of keep an eye on him, and he also wants to win this money back. So the casino owner gives the kid a free hotel room and basically tells him to come back and spend more and win more, kind of egging him on kind of thing to spend more money at the casino. Eventually the casino owner gets a hold of the coin as well, and he's having this conversation, I love it, with Loretta, and Loretta's really funny in this movie. And he's like, I can have any broad if I wanted to, and she's like, oh yeah, that's so. And he's like, yeah, that girl Tammy over there, I could have her anytime if I wanted her. And Loretta's like, you're so delusional, it's not even funny. And then she's like, is that a wish? And then he's like, yep, I wish. And then all of a sudden, Tammy has like the super hots for the casino owner. I wrote his name down too. Mitch is the casino owner. And then she starts just seducing the fuck out of him, like just all over this guy in the casino, like, take me on the floor right now. And then they get into this elevator and she's like, I like it rough, and she's slapping him around the elevator. And then he's just like, oh, if you like it that way, I'll just do it to myself. And he's banging himself on the walls. It just gets ridiculous. And then they finally go to the hotel room. There, she's like doing this whole like dance tease for him, stripping and everything. Then Loretta comes in and into the room and steals the coin back. So she leaves the room with the coin, and for whatever reason that breaks the spell. So Tammy basically just all of a sudden has no idea how she got there, and she thinks she was like drugged and everything. And then he fires her, and she's crying, and she's kind of wondering if he like slipped something in a drink or something like that, because she has no idea how she got there. And of course Scott comes back, and because he's so in love with her now, he's just like ready to brawl and ready to take down Mitch and take down the whole casino. All throughout, the Leprechaun is just after that one coin, and he basically like heists the entire casino, kind of wreaks havoc. There is some interesting kills in this one, again with like the really supernatural stuff that the Leprechaun is able to do. He's able to have this woman on TV kind of speak to Mitch, but as if like she can see Mitch, and then she comes out of the television, and then she kind of does the same striptease dance that Tammy was doing earlier. I think every one of these films make a point to show tits at one point. Did the first one have tits? I'm trying to remember now. The second one did, and this one does. But I'm pretty sure every film at least makes a point to show titties. But yeah, this woman is stripping for him, and then she turns into a robot for whatever reason, and then she like electrocutes Mitch as she's on top of him. It's wild. There's another scene too where Loretta wants to be younger and prettier again, so that's what she wishes for, and then the Leprechaun basically gives her the liposuction of death. And the plastic surgery of death, whatever the hell you want to call it. Her ass just starts expanding to astronomical sizes. Her tits starts expanding. Her lips turn into like duck lips is an understatement. Like they go out to here. And she's walking around and like stumbling everywhere, and then she explodes because everything just gets too big and ballooned. This film just knows how to play with its humor. There's the third act that takes place in the hospital because Scott gets bit by the Leprechaun, and because Scott gets bit by the Leprechaun, he starts to kind of transform into one, and they do some practical effects on his face that definitely feel a little bit Teen Wolf. Not with the hair or anything, but just the way he looks. And he starts to slowly turn into the Leprechaun, and he starts like rhyming himself, and then he at one point goes to the diner at the casino, and he orders just everything potatoes. So he orders like fried potatoes, mashed potatoes, garlic mash, fucking baked potatoes, French fries, just a platter full of potatoes. And he's just rhyming and eating potatoes, and and then at one point Tammy realizes that he has the wound, so she takes him to the hospital, and then there's this just this wild like kind of third act scene that takes place in the hospital where Leprechaun is using all his supernatural powers again. They're getting like I don't know like hospital terms, but they're getting kind of the results, the papers that are analyzing Scott and what's going on with him, like his health kind of thing. And on the papers it says like "fuck you" with 4-leaf clovers, like spelt in 4-leaf clovers. And he takes like a string of paper that came out of the testing machine, and it's just got like a bunch of green like clovers all over it, and he's like, "This is a prank. Somebody better tell me now because it's not funny." And there were certain scenes in the hospital too that felt kind of Stuart Gordon, director of Reanimator, especially Reanimator. I just got that vibe with the stuff that was happening in the hospital setting. Just gave me Stuart Gordon vibes slightly, just slightly, not too much, but a little bit. And then we end off with Fazio again and Leprechaun coming on stage, and Fazio Fazio got a hold of the coin as well, and he wished to be the greatest magician ever. So he ends up like performing at a really good show, but Leprechaun joins him on stage. The Leprechaun ends up doing a magic trick with him, and he, for whatever reason, ends up on the bed. I think it's beyond his control. And then the Leprechaun whips out a chainsaw and starts like hacking him in half. And then when he's split, it shows a good practical effect with the blood and Fazio split in two. There's another great kill at the hospital too, involving one of the security guards, I think. And he has just a bunch of hospital tools and utensils just stabbed in his chest. Definitely gave me the slasher vibe, and I think a lot of people, including myself, like this one especially because it uses more creative kills. But yeah, this one has fun with itself, and it definitely it has a good theme because it takes place in Las Vegas. So I think this is one of the better choices to feature Leprechaun in, kind of thing. And it's just got a lot of like the most laugh out loud moments in it too. It's also got a really good score in this one. They change up the score a bit, and they continuously play the same theme throughout the film, and it's a really catchy theme in this one. I really liked what they did with the score. And then Scott and Tammy come back to the casino after the whole chainsaw incident, and Scott gets a hold of a flamethrower somehow. I'm assuming it was a magic prop or something like that, but apparently the Leprechaun has all his power in the pot of gold, so Scott burns the pot of gold, and that ends up destroying the Leprechaun at the end. That's how he's defeated. Kind of a weird death. Again, I'm gonna repeat myself one more time. The amount of superpowers this Leprechaun has, I don't know how he's so easy to defeat. He can like teleport, he fucking has telekinesis, he can control shit, he can change his voice, but he gets defeated in the most like mundane ways sometimes. And he gets over like people get the upper hand on the Leprechaun so easily. For a guy who has so much power, he's not that smart, I guess. Yeah, I don't know how to explain that. But yeah, like I said, this is one of the more fun ones, and it's an interesting ride, and it's hilarity ensues in this one a lot. So I had a really good time with it. And the director of this one, does it say in the back? Probably does not, but it's the same director as the fourth one. Yeah, I'm blanking on his name now, but he directs 3 and 4, so I know that. He also directed Dead and Driving. But yeah, that's Leprechaun 3. I don't want to go like extremely long on these, but because there will be a few of them. But Leprechaun 3 is a fun one, and it's a favorite, and I really had a good time with it, just as much as the second, pretty much. As of now, I would say 2 is my favorite, and then 3, and then the first one. So not too shabby at all. But yeah, till next time, subscribe to Morgan Film Fan if you like to listen to my voice, or if you like my film reviews. I'll be back with more soon, so stay tuned for those. Check out what's on the channel already. Stay tuned for what's coming. Until next review, have a good one. Take care and cheers.